Hello Facebook, how is everybody? Hello YouTube, very nice to be back with you. Back here in my kitchen, here in the West Country, and it's, well, I did say earlier actually just now to our friends on Instagram, it was a beautiful sunny day and now the sun's gone in. I just looked out of the window. So I hope the sun is out where you are. Just noticed that the light's a bit bright on Facebook, so I'm just going to see if I can turn off the overhead lights, because that might be, yeah, that might be a little bit better. Hopefully that will work. I still look a bit bright actually. Does it look all right to you? Let me know. Anyway, I'm going to be joined today by one of my favourite contributors. So those of you who have your copy of Earle Wellbeing magazine will have spotted that we have a new-ish contributor, an amazing doctor, who I have done an Instagram live here with before, and I've recorded podcasts with Dr Harriet Holme, and I'm just looking at her article because she's been writing some really interesting pieces for the magazine, and she is a lovely proper medic who specialises in paediatrics and cancer research and all sorts. So here you go, this is the piece that's in the magazine at the moment, all about high blood pressure and what we can do about it and what we can eat for it, which is interesting. So I thought that we'd do a live chat today, which would be fun. Before we get into that, I'm just actually going to have a little bit of unpacking of my juice. Hi, I've just seen the Healthy Juice Company has joined us. Hi, Rosie. Yeah, I got your box. I got your box on my doorstep today. Thank you very much for your note. You said, "Dear Liz, happy birthday this week. I hope you celebrated big time." Well, if you had a look at my pictures on my Instagram, I'm not sure if they're still up there. I think the main one's on my grid up. I think the stories have gone. Yeah, my girls whisked me away. They whisked me away on Monday. Did you see that? Did you see Brella? My lovely purple-haired younger daughter came and kind of interrupted me and just said, "Right, come on, we got to go now." So we went up to London and got into the studios. Lily was there, and so they put a flower crown on me and covered my face with sparkles and glitter and tied a helium balloon onto my wrist that said happy birthday, and then we all got the tube to a cocktail bar, and they insisted on singing happy birthday to me at length on the tube with me looking like all glittered up. I looked like a flipping Christmas tree. It was very funny and very memorable. And it's funny, isn't it, how you can do simple things. You know, it was just the thought behind it. It wasn't an expensive thing, it wasn't a complicated thing, but they took lots of funny pictures, and it's, yeah, definitely a memorable day, definitely a memorable day. So I'm very glad, having had a few porn star martinis for the first time in my life, and how good are they, to have actually got this delivery now from Rosie and the Healthy Juice Company. So this is what arrived this morning on my doorstep. And it's a collaboration that we first started doing possibly a couple of years ago. And I really genuinely rate Rosie and Andy, her partner. I mean, the quality is next to none. They are absolutely superb. Everything from the packaging, we've got sustainable, renewable, compostable packaging. So this is the 3-day shot box. Lainey, I think, is on Facebook, so maybe you can pop a link up in case anybody wants to go and have a look. You can find the link if you're watching me on Instagram in my bio, if you go to that, which is my little circle picture and a few lines of type, and there's a Linktree link, and if you click on that, all else fails, go to lizarwellbeing.com, you'll find all the links there. So basically this is designed as a 3-day pack, okay? So you get 3 high-intensity liposomal vitamin C sachets, because that goes alongside it. You get your shots. So these are your daily shots. You can have a 1-day shot box if you like, but I mean, I will find that you love it so much you might want the 3-day one. So for anybody who wants a bit of a boost, maybe you're convalescing, maybe you want to send a cheer up or get well or healthy boost gift to somebody, this is just a great way to do it. So these are the little single shot bottles. You can see I've already tucked into that one. That's my great green juice. Had that this morning. This is one of my favourites, the cinnamon almond chia. Absolutely love that. And she makes all her cold pressed nut milks. She makes them all fresh from scratch with organic ingredients. I mean, she's just amazing. This is also one I love, the golden shot. She and I worked together to perfect this. So this is turmeric with a bit of black pepper. Oh my goodness, I think we've got pineapple juice in there. So many good things. Probably says it in here. But you know, all organic, all freshly squeezed. So yeah, the pineapple one, the golden shot is pineapple, fennel, organic fennel, turmeric root, ginger root, lime, raw organic honey, olive oil, black pepper and cayenne pepper. And you know, it's great, really, really good. You've got these little reusable ice packs that it comes in. You also get 3 of these. This is the VSL3 probiotic sachet. This is what I take when I want a real probiotic boost, because you have in this sachet, I think it's, yeah, 450 billion beneficial bacteria. 450 billion. And I really do like these when I want to kind of supercharge. Don't take them every day, but now and then I definitely am a fan. I've used them for years, actually, for my family. So these are the 3-day bottles. So this is the 3-day supply. You can see they've got their eco wrapping around them, and they're obviously reusable bottles. Or if you order regularly from Rosie, then what happens is you leave your empties out, a bit like the milkman, and then they come and pick them up and replace them with others. So this is the Go-Go Green. That's your 3-day supply. This is your almond milk with cinnamon and chia, which is absolutely delicious. My kids love that one. I have to hide it from them, otherwise they just glug it all. And then this is your golden shot, the 3-day supply. So they were delivered this morning. I have to say they're still really, really cold. Just taking them out of the box because of the clever way that they're packed. And I love them. So thank you very much, Rosie, for organising that delivery. And then last but not least, because she grinds all her own nut milks, so all her, if you have a look at her recipes online and her juices, she's using Brazil nuts and almond and all sorts of different things. And that means that she has the kernels left over, the husks. So if I open this little bath soak sachet, can I open that? Yeah, here we go. She then uses the almond grounds, which are very softening and very skin soothing, in a little bit of organic muslin tied with a little bit of string, natural string, and sprinkled with organic essential oil of lavender. Smells amazing. Love that. So that you can pop that in your bath and have a delicious bath soak, or use this, you know, as a little gentle, nourishing skin scrub, all part of your shop box. So, you know, it's a really lovely, lovely all-round kind of 360 approach to well-being. And Rosie, thank you very much for sending that to me and for reminding me of the lovely collaboration that we created together at Earle Wellbeing. Now, the shot box has already got a special price, but if you want any of Rosie's other juices, she has also given us a 10% discount. Okay, so use your Liz Loves code, and then if you want to try any of her other juices, and she does juice cleanses and juice fasts and all sorts, and if you want more information, she's very, very good at responding to comments and questions. So do comment and question her direct if you have any queries. So moving on, yeah, Alison, they are like old-fashioned medicine bottles, aren't they? Really beautiful. Thank you very much. So this, just very quickly, quick fashion update. This is a dress from Bjorken, and it's made of Tencel, which is a really lovely soft, I've got bits of almond on me now, really lovely soft sustainable fibre, and it's from Bjorken, who are the sustainable ethical fashion brand, and I love it. It's got a nice little belt, it's a shirt waister, but it's got a side of, you know, kind of the slightly puffy sleeves, which is a bit more kind of on trend at the moment, and of course pockets, which we love a dress with pockets, don't we? Or at least I do. I'm really into my dresses at the moment. I went through a phase, I think it was during lockdown, where I was just kind of wearing jeans every day, or tracksuit bottoms, and just jumpers. But I don't know, maybe it's the change of season, maybe it's the fact that we're able to get out more. Just feel like putting a dress on. I've had some lovely ones on my Instagram recently. Aspiga is another great favourite fashion brand of mine, ethical fashion. Me and M, they've got some lovely new designs. Bjorken, which I really like. They also give us discount. Let me just double check what the code is, because I think Bjorken might have changed their code. So if you do want to look it up, we'll pop a link up on Facebook as well. But where are we for Bjorken? Bjorken, which is a British brand. Yeah, they changed it. So their code is Liz Loves 15, all in capitals. and that gets you, guess what, 15% off. Okay, so it's Liz Loves 15. Most of the other codes are just straightforward Liz Loves. If you want to find any of them all, by the way, they are all on the website, Liz Earle Wellbeing website. Right, now let's crack on with today's guest, shall we? So I wonder if Dr. Harriet is in the house. Let me check. Yes, Healthy Eating Doctor. That's her moniker on Instagram. Hopefully, thank you very much. Now, Malcolm, thank you. I'm glad you like that. Hi, Nikki. Hi. Hello.
Hello. Thanks
How
so much.
are you? Sorry to keep you waiting.
No, happy birthday. Looks like you had lots of fun.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. I hope you've got some tips for liver recovery, because it was... Actually, I was quite good. I had to do an interview, actually, yesterday, so I had to come back quite sharpish and do that. And be photographed. So I did have that in the back of my mind, thinking I do need to pace myself. So I did remember glass of water after every alcoholic drink. Made sure I had some scrambled eggs before I went out to, you know, line my stomach, and healthy fats and all that. And then before I went to bed, I took my glutathione, some magnesium, and my B complex, and some more water. And actually, I felt okay. So I don't know. Would that get a tick maybe from you?
Most of that, I think.
Most of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, alcohol is, you know, it doesn't really have any great health benefits, but, you know, on your birthday, you've got to go out and celebrate, really. You know, it's once a year, or, you know,
my birthday is once a year. Exactly. And what a great day, because, you know, it's, when we can go out. We were actually let out, weren't we, on Monday? So tell us a little bit. Sorry, for all those who don't know you, and I apologise for Facebook, you won't be able to see Dr. Harriet, but you'll be able to hear her. Would you like to just tell us a little bit about your background and how you've come to be doing what you are doing? I know many of you will know Harriet and recognise her from my magazine, but it'd be lovely to hear it direct from you.
Sure. So I went to Cambridge University and studied medicine over 20 years ago now, and then I was a paediatrician and worked in the health service for a long time. I was a paediatric oncologist and stepped out to do a PhD in a very rare form of bone cancer called osteosarcoma. So my PhD was all about the genetics of cancer and how to try to harness that for novel therapies. And then that sort of really sparked my interest in the microbiome and the microbiota, and I decided that I wasn't going to return to clinical medicine. I really I sort of wanted a change, and so I retrained and became a registered nutritionist. I now lecture in nutrition, and I was commissioned to write the first of its kind degree on nutrition and health. And I'm really passionate about evidence-based nutrition.
Excellent.
And how it links with health.
I'm interested, before we get into what you're doing now, I'm interested in why, as somebody working with clinical oncology and paediatric cancer, what triggered your interest in the microbiome? What are the connections there that you saw?
So I think the microbiome is really fascinating from a sort of genetics point of view, and certainly my PhD was all about the genetics. Was about how to individually silence the genes of the kinome with what's called an siRNA screen, and then look at what's called synthetic lethality. So where if you are missing one gene, gene A, it has no effect on your fitness. If you're missing gene B, it has no effect on your fitness. But if you are missing, or you have them impaired through a targeted drug, you can selectively just kill off those cells. So it's a very elegant way of targeting specific cells. So my PhD was all about that and the genetics of cancer, which I think are really, you know, quite fascinating and incredible. And it's how that translates into the microbiota and the microbiome and the genetics of that, and then how that is so important with and how it predicts long-term risk of disease, how it's involved in disease, how it's even involved in your response to, you know, to cancer therapies, which I think is quite astonishing.
That is, you know, I have read that, you know, people, particularly in France, I think it is, you know, before undergoing chemo, for example, they'll do genetic testing to see whether or not they're likely to respond, because there are some genes that just make chemo, you know, unresponsive, and there are others where it is. So it's really fascinating. Do we do that here in this country yet? Do you know?
There are small ongoing trials to look at the effect of the microbiome on chemotherapy response, but certainly, during my time in the lab, I mean, it was changing so much the way you can, you know, take someone's tumour out, you can grow it in the laboratory, you can see what works in the laboratory,
and fascinating.
Then you can use that to inform, you know, in real time, you know, what agents they should be using. So it's changing dramatically, and I think the microbiome is now sort of the next big frontier. It's going to have so much. It's going to be so important for so many things, so many long-term diseases. You know, cardiovascular disease, irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel syndrome. You know, risk of cancer. It's going to be really massive, and how we harness that knowledge and translate it is going to be really important.
So, what would you say, as a researcher and as a doctor in this area, are the best tips for us if we want to get the healthiest microbiome for ourselves and also for our families? I know you've got little ones as well at home, haven't you?
I do. So I think it's about a varied diet, having lots and lots of variety, trying to have as much variety as you possibly can. Lots of fruit and vegetables, because we know that the good bacteria feed off the fruit and vegetables, that insoluble fibre, which is really important, not just for the bacteria, but for long-term gut health and reducing the risk of bowel cancer. And then whole grains as well have got lots of fibre in them, so they're really important for those good bacteria to feed off. And fermented foods. So I know that you love kefir and you're great at making it.
Yeah, and I've got here
all of those fermented, you know, s'nores and kefir.
Yeah, those here. Here's one I made
naturally
earlier.
Occurring bacteria.
It's my sauerkraut.
Example.
So I made this one earlier, so that's still going. And also, I think in the fridge, I've got a kimchi. I've popped a recipe online actually for my kimchi, and it just seems to get better and better. I made this a few weeks ago, and it's quite
the flavour intensifies.
Oh, the smell, literally. I mean, whoa! And you don't need much, do you? I mean, like a teaspoon of this is going to give you so many beneficial gut bugs. You get a lot of bang for your buck when you make a kimchi.
You do, and the more you can vary it and put different things in it, or, you know, different s'lores, and all of that variety is all going to get you different bugs and slightly different strains, and it's all, you know, great for your gut. So absolutely, those I think are fantastic. And then avoiding trans fat and avoiding sweeteners, which we know are not good. So those would be my tips.
Interesting. There was a very interesting study actually, which I'm just looking at the moment, which I'll probably pop into the next magazine issue, looking at how when people switch to diet fizzy drinks, you know, thinking that they're going to be better, actually they still get a kind of an insulin spike, and they still get that kind of sugar response, even though it's not sugar. And in some cases it was found to be even worse than having, you know, like regular fat Coke, you know, when you have aspartame or some of the synthetic sweeteners.
Yeah, I just think that, you know, they're best avoided, to be honest. I have to confess this. It sounds very, you know, first world problems, but the only thing that I do with cola type drinks is clean my Thermomix.
That is definitely a first world comment. But yeah, I have heard that actually. Really hard, you know, hard to shift, lime scale, loose stains, all of that. Can of Coke overnight, and that will dissolve it. So best not dissolve your good gut bugs with that.
Absolutely. I kind of think, you know, if it's doing that to my, you know, pots and pans, what's it doing to your body? So I, you know, steam well clear.
Interesting question here that's come up from Natalie, saying, is stevia okay? And stevia is the sweet herb. I've used stevia in cooking now and then. What do you think of stevia?
I think they're all sort of on a gradient, really. I think it's better than the Spartan, some of the others, but I would personally avoid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a whole Instagram post about that.
Okay, great. People are asking, what's your Instagram handle so we can find you?
It's Healthy Eating Doctor.
Great.
Healthy Eating DR.
Healthy Eating DR. Now tell us about your nutrition courses, because you've very kindly given us a discount on these, and I think that is a very, very interesting thing to be doing. So you're starting, is this an online course for people to take?
Yeah, so it's an online video course. You can do it completely self-paced. It's about 3 hours long, and it's got a big guide that comes with it with all the sort of summary of all of the information that I talk through. And it's in association with Andrew McLean's This Girl Is On Fire. So it's on their website.
Great.
So you can
Love Andrea.
get it through there.
Yeah.
And the code is Liz Loves in order to get your 15% off.
Great, thank you.
And it covers, it's really about sort of, I just find it's, well, because nutritionist isn't a protected title, anyone can start, with nutrition advice. It's only a registered nutritionist that's protected.
Right.
And so I think there's just so many myths out there. There's so much misinformation, and people come to me asking, what can I do? What about various things, and it's really sort of been informed by client questions and how to really have that framework of improving your diet, not for today, but for the next 10 years, and to really try to improve your health long term. So it's really about how nutrition and health go together, about how to improve your risk of hypertension, heart disease, arthritis, cancer. All of these different things are all modulated. We know that nutrition plays a huge role in that. So obviously you can't change your genes, but you can change your environment. And
that's the exciting thing, isn't it, about genes and about all this genetic information. I learned that through doing my Life Code GX report, is that you may have these variations in genes that implicate various ways that your body will work, but they are mostly actionable. So you can help with epigenetics to overcome it, as long as once you have the information. Yes,
but yes, to some degree. There's so much more known about genetics now that we know it's not just your DNA, but it's also the switches, the epigenetics that are on the surface of the DNA, which switch those genes on and off. And we know how important that is now for the Barker hypothesis. I don't know if you know, if a baby has had difficulty growing inside the uterus and comes out small, that if they're then genetically programmed to put on weight and put it on faster, and it actually increases their risk of coronary heart disease, cardiovascular disease long term. So that's called the Barker hypothesis, and it just goes to show that your uterine environment can predict, has an amazing impact. It predicts, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the line, and your risk of disease. So those epigenetic switches are really important. Environment does change, has the potential to change that. So but it's how it all sort of interacts, really.
Yeah, and I think it's also useful to know that, even though you're dealt a deck of cards with genes, that you can, by making some sensible changes, and that needn't be hard, actually, whether it's just adding a bit of, good gut bacteria into your foods, you can actually make a significant difference, can't you? So it is positive on the whole.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, although, there's obviously genetic changes that you can't change, still that only makes up about 30% of your risk. The rest is environment.
Okay. Really?
And, my philosophy is that, so the clients that come to me that want to lose weight or whatever their concern is, I'm not talking about reducing the food that you're eating. I'm talking about increasing it, increasing the variety, increasing the fruit and vegetables, increasing the whole variety of whole grains. So that it shouldn't be about a restriction. It should be about a change of life to sustainable, healthy, happy, tasty, delicious food that you can attain a healthy weight, and reduce your risk of long-term disease, which I think we should all be aiming for, personally.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think if, you know, this lockdown and pandemic has taught us nothing, it's the importance of keeping well, and you know, the importance of eating well, prioritizing sleep, keeping stress low, getting plenty of fresh air, exercise, you know, really saying, right, how can we better support our immune systems? Because that's ultimately what we're going to rely on, isn't it, going forward?
Absolutely, and just with, you know, the risk of COVID, that your risk is increased if you're overweight, you've got diabetes,
Absolutely,
you know, you've got
significantly.
So, I think it's been, for some people, it's been obviously a very, very tough year, and they found it, you know, very difficult, and, you know, they've not managed to keep up with health goals. But for other people, it's been a real light bulb moment where they've just, you know, we've got to change this.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's certainly made, you know, for me and my family, look at all sorts of things, and also have a little bit more time perhaps to investigate. And I remember during the, you know, the first lockdown, when pretty much everything was shut, and we live on a farm in the middle of, you know, kind of nowhere, so everything was cooked from scratch. You know, everything. I mean, we were lucky we had a few bits growing in the garden, and we had some local farms that were doing, you know, farm boxes that we could go and pick up. And I think a lot of people were suddenly at home making things perhaps for the first time. I mean, everybody got into, you know, making bread or trying sourdough or fermenting their own yogurt or whatever, and just getting away from that takeaway daily, you know, grab a quick sandwich, get a bit of, you know, a bit of takeaway. Actually, a lot of people reconnected, I think, with food for the first time.
Yeah, I really think so. I think there's sort of been that dichotomy. There's been the young families totally overwhelmed, no childcare, you know, really swamped and finding it incredibly difficult and just getting through each day. And food has just been an extra pressure. And then there's been the other, you know, the sort of flip side where other people have had a lot more time and they've been able to, you know, really prioritise food and enjoy it and reconnect. So I think, I hope that, you know, people will sort of, you know, not look to sort of social media trends for cutting food groups out and having a restrictive diet and counting calories and doing those things. Because
counting calories, big no-no. I'm doing quite a lot on that at the moment.
Yeah, so part of in my course I talk about diets, a lot of the, you know, like the blood group diet, counting calories, counting macros, all of those things, and why I just don't agree with them.
Yeah, interesting.
And actually what you can do instead, and how you can balance your plate, how you can organise, you know, like a healthy sort of meal plan.
Getting asked questions here on my Instagram about the course, exactly how long is it and how much it costs?
So it's £100 before the discount, so it's £85 after you've had your 15% off.
Great.
It's 3 hours, it's individual little videos that are quite short, so that they're easy, you know, to fit into a busy life, and then you get the course, the downloadable course guide to go with it, which summarises a lot of the you know, all of the stuff I talk about.
Great.
It's all evidence-based. At the end of it are all the references that I've, you know, used to compile it all, and then it's me talking through all the, you know, the evidence and the practical tips on how to change your life, how to implement it. There's stuff on emotional eating and stress, depression, and you know, mood and food. And then the sort of basics of, you know, what are macronutrients, micronutrients, what supplements, goes through all of those different things.
Yeah. And then before we finish, let's just have a quick cover of some of the things that you've talked about here. So in our current feature, thank you very much for that, in the magazine, it's talking about eating for high blood pressure. And we talk a little bit about beetroot. And, you know, beetroot is one of my favourite foods, actually. What's the beef about beetroot? You know, talk us through some of the benefits of beetroot.
The beetroot's really interesting. Obviously, it's rich, you know, it's a nice bright red colour, and anything that's colourful is going to have those polyphenol antioxidant compounds in it, so it's good for that. And it's obviously got fibre and micronutrients. But the most important thing is that it's got naturally occurring nitrite in it, which is a vasodilator, so it dilates blood vessels. And some of the treatments we use already treating hypertension, so high blood pressure, are to dilate the blood vessels, and that reduces the pressure. And so it's a naturally occurring vasodilator, and has been shown in clinical studies to reduce blood pressure. So for some people, you know, if you love it, great. If you don't love it, beetroot juice might be a way to take it. And then the latest thing at the moment is beetroot powder, which still retains many of the beneficial nutrients, but is more palatable for a lot of people that don't like beetroot.
Interesting. So you could add beetroot powder like into a smoothie. You could, I mean, I guess you could bake it into a muffin. You could do all sorts, couldn't you?
Yeah.
How interesting. I'm going to try and get some beetroot powder. I think that's really interesting. And that still retains the nutritional value, does it, of kind of fresh beetroot?
Yeah, not completely the nutritional value, but it contains the nitrates, which are going to be vasodilator. So yeah.
And in fact, that's just reminded me, and I think maybe Lainey, if you're on Facebook, honey, maybe you can find the link. We have written a piece online, actually, on Earle Wellbeing about the difference between nitrites and nitrates. Because I was getting really confused. I was kind of writing all my stuff, and I thought, I know that there are some good guys and there are some bad guys, and there's nitrosamines and, you know, things that you create with barbecuing fats, which can be bad, and yet the nitrates in beetroot are really good. So it's a little bit of a confusing subject. So if you want to know more about that, then go to the website and take a look.
Yeah.
Excellent.
No, they all sound very similar, yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much, isn't there? And I love the fact that here you've done this kind of little box out of your takeaway tips, your top tips. So, you know, going for things like a low sodium soya sauce if you're cooking, having lots of potassium-rich foods and garlic, which is really good. If we were looking for potassium-rich foods, what would you go for? Would you be using things like bananas?
Yeah, bananas full of potassium. So it's really interesting data that that potassium actually helps to offset some of the risk of a high salt diet. So I'm not saying that you should all go and put salt in your diet, but certainly it does offset some of it. So yeah, potassium, bananas are a good one. Yeah, there are lots of them.
Fantastic.
And also there's an incredible J-shaped curve with salt that probably having too little salt actually is bad for your blood pressure, and having too much, but we're just trying to find that dip in the middle, that sweet spot where you're having just enough salt but not too much. But most of us are probably sort of eating far too much, and we still need to bring it down.
How would you test as to whether you need more salt or less salt?
There's no really good way of testing, but the vast majority of us all eat too much. So it's just interesting data that you do need a little bit, but we're probably all eating far too much. Just it's in so many, even if you buy bread, it's in so many things. Salt, pasta, sauces, prepared foods.
So much salt. Oh my goodness, you need to look at the label always, always turn the jar or the packet round and just see how much salt is in even sweet things. They just to give it that extra flavour and that extra kind of moorishness, Yeah.
Which I guess, comes back to trying to make your own, so you know what you put in it.
Yeah. Just a quick question before we go here about B12. Do you think B12 injections are good if you're very, very low, or would you go for a high supplement?
I think that most people do not need B12 injections, and actually most of these injections or IV vitamins are just pure marketing, to be honest. And as a doctor, I think they are higher risk of any injection associated with a risk of infection and actually problems. And I think that those risks far outweigh any potential therapeutic benefit, and they're not needed for people with very low B12. And an injection might be helpful, but I think that unless you're vegan, you're not going to be low in B12. And if you are vegan, then it's easy to supplement, daily with a spray, or with a supplement, or with nutrition that's got lots of B12 in it.
Yeah, really important actually to make sure if you are excluding lots of food groups that you do lick into it and don't just suddenly stop eating things and then miss out on all sorts of fat-soluble vitamins, especially. Interesting. Very interesting.
But some people saying that I have B12 injections for GP. Yeah, absolutely. If you've got a medical condition and you've got very low B12, you should be doing that. But I'm meaning the sort of, go to Westfield supermarket and have your IV shot of vitamins. Those are
and they're so expensive too. Oh my goodness.
And there's no evidence that, most people really don't need them. But if you've got a medical condition, you've got very low B12, absolutely get it through your GP.
Yeah.
You know, have it prescribed, have it done safely.
Yeah.
And but the vast majority of people don't need that. You know, if you're having a non-vegan diet, you shouldn't even need B12.
Good. Well, very, very nice to chat, and thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and for sharing your code as well. I'll make sure that we do all the links, and we can find you on Instagram. And you know, do you mind people messaging you on there? Are you happy to, you know, for people to chat?
Yeah, absolutely. Message her. I've just seen that question about intermittent fasting, so that's in my course. It's all about intermittent fasting as well.
Great, great.
Yeah, please come follow me.
Good.
Ask me questions, and no, thanks so much.
Oh, lovely to see you, Harriet, and I'll see you. Look forward to the next issue. I know, I forget what have you covered in the next one? I can't remember.
I've covered I think the next one's metabolism, and how that sort of the confusing area that people often get confused about: metabolism, metabolic rate, how that's linked with obesity, exercise, aging, and hormones.
Great. Look forward to seeing your copy on that. Thank you so much. Have a lovely Wellbeing Wednesday. Love to your small people. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Now I think you've got to leave me, my love, because if I switch off, I might cut everybody off. So interesting. You know, that I have to say, that is, you know, one of the real pleasures of my job as editor-in-chief of the magazine is just being able to connect with such brilliant columnists. And yeah, I think her course sounds really fab, and she obviously is the real deal when it comes to medical advice. So yeah, thank you very much indeed, Harriet. Okay, so before I go today, a couple of things to talk about here. A lot of you were talking about the Life Code GX, and I have to say that was the nutrigenomic testing that I've done, and I've done it for my family, and it has totally transformed, particularly my younger daughter, Brella, who was found to be blocking vitamin D in significant quantities, and she wasn't transporting it properly and wasn't absorbing it once it was transported. And she now has been using high strength Better You. So this is the one that I give my children. It's the one that I take. I like it because it is sublingual, so you just spray it. And they've done clinical research with Cardiff University looking at the way that this is better absorbed. Doesn't go through the digestion, goes straight in through the mucous membranes. I like Better You as a company. I've spoken to their CEO several times, Andrew, and they've given us a Liz Loves discount on that. So, and I think it's ongoing. So do please check them out. And also we talked there, Harriet talked about B12. This is the one that I use. So this is the Better You B12. So I do eat quite a lot of meat and animal products, but I still do feel better having my extra B12. And again, I know a lot of people were showing that they might have little genetic SNPs. There was some talk about that. And glutathione as well, yes. Oh, go away, fly. Yes, so the glutathione that I take, and again, personally, I feel better for it. It's, you know, it's up to you, isn't it? Try these things. If you feel better, great. If you don't, then, you know, don't do it. So this is the one, if I do need to get some more, you can see I'm right at the bottom of my bottle there. This is the mango flavoured glutathione liquid. It's a liposomal glutathione. And I did a podcast with Dr. Thomas Levy, the cardiologist, American cardiologist, talking about liposomal delivery and how, it bypasses the gut. So the liposomes are these tiny little molecular bubbles, if you like, that are able to penetrate cells and deliver their cargo of whatever they're loaded with. So in this case, it's glutathione. And for me personally, the minute I started taking glutathione, I had more energy, literally overnight. It was just an extraordinary thing. And that was as a result of my Life Code GX. So yeah, you've been using the Better You sprays, have you? Yeah. Interesting pen there says glutathione has made such a difference to me. Yeah, Nikki, I take vitamin D and B12 sprays. Yeah, Better You. They are really good company. And also, you know, they use, the plastics they use are all marine salvaged. So, you know, obviously with medical things and hygiene, we have to use a certain amount of plastic in certain areas, but they are using marine plastic and it's a lot more expensive, but it's a lot better for the environment. So really good. If you want to know more about the Life Code GX, by the way, it is on Liz Loves. So do take a look, because we have a special link. Normally you have to go through a practitioner, but they've done a special package for us. And I have to say, I've had all my family do it, actually. I bought it for my parents, I gave it to them for Christmas. It's been really interesting. My mum, you know, she doesn't mind me saying this, you know, she was found to be, you know, a little bit low in B12, you know, my father had lots of blocks. And he's really been complaining about fatigue and tiredness over the last few years. And so we've put him on a new nutritional program. So it'll be really interesting to see how that goes. And what I liked about that program is that not only do we get a discount, but we also get a free one-to-one 30 minutes with a practitioner, with a proper registered, qualified nutritional practitioner, to talk through the results, so that you're not just kind of left up in the air with these results and you think, well, what do I do with that then? You know, they give you some really interesting advice that's very personal to you, one-to-one. So yeah, do please take a look at that. Healthy Juice Company, yeah, so the shot box, we've popped a link up just to remind you if you missed that at the beginning. That was mine, it arrived this morning. Thank you, Rosie. Love it, absolutely love it. You can see I've just been sipping actually my cinnamon almond chia, and this is the one actually that I would mix with my VSL3. Harriet there was talking about probiotics. In fact, I might do that just now actually. Molly, I wouldn't have believed that it could make such a difference. Yeah, Alison had mine done, it was fascinating. Mad About Cat says the consultant after is brilliant. Have a pad next to you, plenty to write down. Excellent. Well, if you've got plenty to write down, make sure you have your Earle Wellbeing notebooks. I hope you wrote it in one of these, did you? Because I made these specially for my community after somebody made a comment to say there's always so much to talk about and so much I need to write down. So I thought, well, let's have our own notebooks. So these are the three. So there's this one with the little rose on it that says and breathe. There's this one that is live, love, laugh. And there's this one which is positive vibes only. Okay, that is the rule. And I've got my little signature on those. So we do sell those separately on the website. If you want a set, then there are 3 for £7.50, including P&P in the UK, or you get them free if you have a book. So I've got my lovely signed yearbook 2s, which I love. Lots of summer recipes in there as well. So if you're thinking about getting into some seasonal eating, and there's lots of health and beauty advice as well, and homemade beauty stuff and all sorts in my yearbook. So anyway, so I've got signed copies of those that I'm sending out from the farm, and you do get those notepads free with any signed book. And that actually also includes my menopause book and my gut book. Yeah, the ocean plastic. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? You've just noticed that. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Mad About Cat says, no, I used a Whopper pad. Your pads are for special things. Love that. Just a couple of comments. Okay, yes, so Weed and Wonderful. This is something else that I do take, which I'm loving. This was Dr. Seaweed. So this is the iodine. And this is a food supplement. So this is literally just iodine. This one, I think the immunity has a little bit of vitamin D in it as well. And if you see the capsule, it's green, the capsule, and that's because it's ground seaweed from the Outer Hebrides. So it's a food source, okay? So it's a vegan food source, and it naturally contains magnesium and vitamin D. Just looking to see, it's got a vegan capsule as well if you're interested in that. Oh my goodness, I'm going to try and pronounce this seaweed now. It is Aciphylium nodosum. I'm very sorry, Craig, if you're watching me. I've probably absolutely massacred that, but there we are. But it just contains that and nothing else. And then they also have the immunity one that's got the vitamin D, I think, in it. But really good for helping thyroid function, for brain health, you know, iodine, again, really important, especially, you know, for vegans. And yeah, iodine just generally is something that's been depleted from our soils. And intensive agriculture and farming is taking iodine out of the soils, and we don't tend to eat as much iodine-rich food as we used to, and it's so important. So that's something that I do add into my diet as well. And we do have a Liz Loves with Weed and Wonderful, and actually it's very generous. It is 20% off, and that includes, wait for it, it includes their already discounted subscriptions. So yeah, absolutely. I'd still take my magnesium and the seaweed. Yeah. Thyroxine, I think talk to your doctor if you're actually taking any kind of medication. But Weed and Wonderful, they're also very good at responding to questions about their particular supplements. I know lots of people who are on thyroxine who also take this, so it depends, because there are so many different doses, aren't there, and types and individuality. So yeah, talk to them and talk to your doctor. But yeah, I think this is really good. So 20% off even the discounted subscriptions. So that isn't going to last long. So if you want to grab that, then please do. Okay, so, oh gosh, lots of questions here, very briefly. Right, so this is from Blackness Sound on Instagram, who says, hi, I newly followed you on Instagram and just signed up for newsletters. Welcome. I hope everyone signed up for my newsletters. They come out on a Friday, by the way, if you want those. You mentioned exercise class on Saturday at 10 a.m. Is this for beginners? And I missed the name of the person doing the Zoom classes. And where do I get the exercise equipment she showed? Okay, so this is Julie Ford, and it's really great resistance bands, but with a difference. And I love them, and I've been doing this class now, and many of us here have been doing it every week now for what, I don't know, 16 weeks or something. And so you need to get her gadget. They're really inexpensive. You use Liz Love's discount and it comes out to, I think it's about £24. Make sure that the link is on Linktree if you're watching, or Lainey can pop it up on Facebook. And if you're watching on YouTube, you'll find it on our Earle Wellbeing website. And then that also gives you access to the Saturday morning classes that she does. So basically there are now 2 classes in the morning. So there's one at 10 o'clock, which is sort of more advanced, which is for those of us who've been doing it for the last couple of months. And then there's the beginners one for those who are just buying their bands and using them for the first time, and that's at 9:30. Now, Julie, I don't know if you're watching. I really hope that you are going well. So basically, you've got going in for a small op. Tomorrow, I think it is, or Friday, or Saturday. Anyway, you're not going to be doing your class on Saturday. So I wish you well for that, and you'll be back with us Saturday week. So I hope everyone who's got their instep, I hope that you'll be out and about and doing it, because it's the kind of thing that you can take out with you and do walks and, you know, wherever you are. So there you go. Oh, all our physical copies are sold out. What is that? Is that our current magazine? I wonder. Yeah, you see, we're on subscription now, so if you want your current magazine, you have to subscribe. We're not in any shops. So yeah, it has been going really, really quickly, which is great, but obviously not so good if you haven't got yours. So yeah, do make sure that you're subscribed, won't you, if you'd like the actual magazine. Where else? Danny on Instagram, this was related to my post this morning on my smoothie, who says, is kefir dairy? I don't have dairy, what could I substitute it for? Well, it depends why you don't have dairy. So some people don't have dairy because of the lactose, but they can still use kefir because the beneficial bacteria digest 99% of all the lactose. That's what they feed on. So I know people who are lactose intolerant who can still use kefir really well. And kefir, the animal proteins that wrap around the probiotic part of the kefir have been shown to be better protective when it transits through the gut. You can have a non-dairy kefir. It's not technically kefir because it doesn't have quite the same probiotic activity, so it's kind of like a probiotic drink, but it's marketed as a non-dairy kefir, and that's made from coconut milk, for example. So you could use that instead. Yeah, no problem. Right, can you ask the good doctor about high blood pressure? Any good tips? Yes, lots. In Earle Wellbeing magazine, she's written a whole feature on it with tips, so I hope that you have seen that. If you haven't managed to get your subscription copy, your printed copy, you can see it on Readly. And I have Readly as well, so Readly is a great app. If you don't know about it, Readly is a magazine app, and you can read virtually every magazine in the world on Readly. Once you've subscribed, that's it. You have access to everything. It's amazing. So all your recipe magazines, your health magazines, your garden magazines, your, knitting patterns, everything. Hello magazine. Oh, I was in Hello. Can I show you? So yeah, so all of that you can get on Readly. and you just pay your 1 monthly subscription, which I think is $7.99. In fact, we've got a link which gives you a free month. So if you go to Linktree on Instagram, or perhaps Lainey, you can pop up a link on Facebook for people, or it'll be on the website. So if you just click that link, you get a free month for Readly, and thereafter it's $7.99 a month, and it just gives you access to everything, including Earle Wellbeing. So if you want to get your current issue, and you even just want to have it, you know, on your tablet or your phone, so that you can always check back through the recipes, because it also gives you all the back issues. So if you've missed the last few years and want to see it, then, or check back on a recipe perhaps from this time last year, because a lot of the things that we do are seasonal, and some of the articles, you know, they're really good experts. And we have sold out, sadly, of my yearbook 1. So well done if you managed to get yearbook 1. So there are no more copies in print, alas. I guess you might find it on eBay or something possibly, but I'm afraid we have no more. But you can get it on Readly. So we talked to Readly, and they normally only do magazines. But because they like us and we like them, they have said that we could put the yearbook 1 on Readly. So it doesn't cost any more. If you've got Readly, then you can also look up Earle Wellbeing yearbook 1, and you can get all the recipes and everything from that as well. So that is a really good thing to take out, in my opinion. Let me just share with you. I've got a couple of nice messages to read out, but I'll just show you. So this was my birthday issue, 17th of May, with the lovely Duchess of Cambridge on the front, and they did a whole thing on chickens, and I was reading about it, you know, celebrities with their chickens, and there's all sorts. There's a lovely picture actually of Elizabeth Hurley with her chickens and various things. You might have seen it. And anyway, at the end, saving the best till last, obviously, guess what? They found a picture of me with chickens. Didn't know they were going to do this. So on this page, you can see there's Prince of Wales, Reese Witherspoon, movie star, and me. Isn't that hysterical? All with our chickens. So I thought, well, I'm in very good company. So I had to rush out and buy a copy when I heard about that. Anyway, thank you very much, Hello Magazine, for including me and my happy hens. Thank you also for your lovely messages. I picked up these actually from YouTube. I've been posting a lot on YouTube, and I've got a very interesting chat going live on YouTube tomorrow, so you won't want to miss that one. So head over to Earle Wellbeing YouTube channel. You can just click the subscribe button, and then that will just always be there in your feed if you want to see any of my little videos. So obviously a lot about menopause chat. This one from Claire, who says, Liz, you and everyone concerned must be walking on air. All your hard work has paid off. Last night, 5 minutes before 9 p.m, so that was last week, this time last week when we were watching Davina's brilliant documentary on menopause, where we go, she said, I thought I would remind different family, friends and communities I've been involved with, saying, please watch Davina Channel 4, it will change your lives. My phone did not stop pinging until midnight. I think you will have hundreds of people joining our family. Wonderful news on the charity. Congratulations being the first ambassador with everything you set out to do. You must be quite emotional, as tomorrow will continue to change many more lives. Thank you very much, Claire. Yeah, it was actually really emotional. And I was on Twitter that night, so last Wednesday. I don't often go onto Twitter, especially in the evenings. You know, it can get a bit boisterous, and you sometimes not so pleasant, but I thought, well, I'll go onto Twitter, and I'm Liz Earle Me, by the way, on Twitter, if you want to find me there. And there were lots of chat. I think at one point menopause and Davina menopause was trending. Lots and lots of chat, and lots of chat, particularly about the lack of training for GPs. And at one point, actually, the Royal College of GPs started answering on their Twitter, saying, I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, of course, we train our GPs and whatever. And a lot of people responded to that, including GPs, saying, stop gaslighting women here, because really, you know, they are not. And in fact, I did a podcast last Friday with Dr Radhika, who's one of the founding trustees of the menopause charity. She's amazing. She's an NHS GP and educator, so she trains doctors. So she knows exactly what's going on. and she confirmed that there is no menopause training with medical school, and even with GPs it's very selected, and it may or may not happen, and it certainly doesn't give you practical clinical menopause care as part of the mandated training. So what the menopause charity did, which I thought was just brilliant, and I have to say it's made me so proud, is they made available a menopause training program to every single GP practice in the UK, every single one. They've been given an invitation to have a free, one practitioner in the practice to do this course for free. So it's over £1 million worth of training. Isn't that amazing? And I think I had a note from Dr. Louise Newson, and she said that I think over 5,000 practices have now taken it up. Can you imagine, in 1 week? 5,000 practices, not only in the UK, but they've just extended it to Ireland as well, because there were lots and lots of comments from people saying there's just been no menopause training in Ireland, and please, can you help our medics? So it's open for any GP, practice nurses, prescribing nurses, pharmacists. If you want to check out your surgery, you can email them, you can ask them next time you're in, you know, just by the way, I hear you've been offered, you know, this is from a company called 14 Fish. With the menopause charity, I hear you've been offered free menopause training. Could you just let me know when, you know, somebody in your practice has done this, so I know who to come and see to talk about in the future. And just extraordinary. You know, I have to say that the menopause charity achieved more in terms of GP training and awareness in the first 24 hours of its existence than the Royal College of GPs has achieved in potentially decades. From what I've learned from talking to GPs themselves and talking to medical students about the training that they've received. So it is extraordinary, and I just couldn't be more pleased. And just to say that that training is NHS accredited, it's approved, it's totally independent, has no funding from pharmaceuticals. A lot of GP training is funded by pharmaceutical companies, so there's always that risk of bias perhaps. But no, there is no funding whatsoever. 14 Fish don't take any money from pharmaceutical industries for any of their courses. Menopause charity made a very bold decision not to take any funding from pharmaceutical industry or from, you know, HRT manufacturers. Nothing. Not donations, not sponsored content, not leaflets, nothing. And, you know, that's a big chunk of money that could potentially come to a charity. If you look at most health charities, you look at where their funding comes from, you can go online, you can look at their annual reports, you can ask them who their funders are. Significant numbers will be funded by pharmaceutical companies, and inevitably that creates potential for conflict. Whereas if you can keep yourself completely out of that, then there's never any question that there's been any undue influence. You know, as always, you've got to follow the money, haven't you? You've got to follow, you know, any potential vested interest, and just keep it very clean, very clinical, evidence-based information all the time. Thank you. Anyway, I better go now. I could bang on all the time about this, but I'm just very, very proud to be connected with the Menopause Charity and everything that they have achieved in not even a week since the launch. It launched last Friday. So I'll be doing an update actually on my podcast. Thank you. I meant to leave out more messages. But this was a lovely one actually from Jojo Eva on Instagram. Thank you. Happy birthday, Liz. That was for Monday. Hope you have an amazing day. You've been truly inspirational. I started following you in the first lockdown. I've never looked back. I'm a really upbeat, positive person, but as we know, everyone struggled during this very difficult time. But you were amazing, and I watched you every time you were live. Podcasts, I've told so many people about this, and your social media, that I would say it's helped so many women. It's very special. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Well, on that positive note, I shall send you lots of hearts. I hope you've enjoyed today. I will be back with you on Friday. I have another live guest, so it's going to be a fun one. So I hope that you have a great day. It's Wellbeing Wednesday if you're watching me live. Happy hump day. We're halfway through. Downhill now till the end of the week. So take care, stay well and happy, and I'll see you very soon. Lots of love. Bye.